Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. How many times have you found yourself waiting for that perfect surge of motivation to finally kickstart that project, hit the gym, or learn that new skill? You know the feeling, right? That lightning bolt of inspiration that promises to make everything easy and exciting. Yeah, me too. Countless times. We scroll through motivational quotes, watch inspiring videos, maybe even listen to some pump-up music, all in the hopes of igniting that internal fire. And sometimes it works, for a little while. But then, just as quickly as it arrived, that motivation seems to vanish, leaving us feeling deflated and back at square one. But what if I told you there's a more reliable, more sustainable way to achieve your goals? What if the secret isn't about finding motivation, but about building something much more powerful, momentum? That's what we're diving into today. We're going to explore why relying solely on motivation is like chasing a ghost, and more importantly, how you can start building unstoppable momentum that will carry you towards your goals, even on days when you don't feel like it. So, what exactly is momentum when we talk about achieving our goals? Think of it like this. Imagine trying to push a really heavy ball that's sitting still. It takes a huge amount of initial effort, right? You strain, you push, and maybe it barely budges. That's kind of like relying on pure motivation. It requires a massive burst of energy just to get started. Now imagine that same ball is already rolling, even just a little bit. Suddenly it becomes much easier to keep it moving, and even easier to make it go faster. That, my friends, is the power of momentum. Once you have that forward motion, each subsequent push requires less effort and yields greater results. It's the same principle with your goals. That initial step, that first small action, can feel the hardest. But once you get the ball rolling, each subsequent action becomes easier, and the feeling of progress itself fuels you forward. Think of a train. Getting a massive locomotive moving from a standstill requires immense power. But once it's up to speed, it takes relatively little energy to keep it barreling down the tracks. So, how do we actually build this goal-achieving momentum? It's not about waiting for a grand inspirational moment. It's about taking consistent, strategic action. And today I want to share 3 key strategies that you can implement right away. So, the first key to building momentum is focus on small, easy wins. We often get overwhelmed by the sheer size of our goals. We look at the mountain we want to climb and feel paralyzed before we even take the first step. The antidote to this paralysis is to break down your big goals into tiny, almost ridiculously easy tasks. Let's say your goal is to write a book. The thought of writing 50,000 words can feel daunting. But what if your first task for today was simply to write 1 sentence? Just one. It's so easy, it almost feels silly not to do it. And guess what? Once you've written that 1 sentence, you've achieved a small win. You've created a tiny bit of forward motion. Maybe your goal is to get in shape. The idea of a grueling hour-long workout might kill your motivation before you even lace up your shoes. But what if your first step was to do just 5 minutes of stretching, or walk around the block? These are small, achievable actions that require minimal effort but still contribute to your overall goal, and more importantly, create a sense of progress. The psychology behind this is powerful. Each small win releases a little bit of dopamine in your brain, which is a feel-good neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. This positive feedback loop encourages you to take the next small step and then the next. Before you know it, you've strung together a series of small wins that have created noticeable progress and, yes, you guessed it, momentum. You're no longer starting from zero each day. You're building upon previous successes. The second crucial strategy for building momentum is establish consistent routines. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably don't wake up every morning and have a huge internal debate about whether or not you feel motivated to brush your teeth. You just do it. It's a routine, a habit ingrained in your day. And that's the power we want to harness for our goals. By establishing consistent routines around the small actions that contribute to your larger goals, you take the decision-making and the reliance on fleeting motivation out of the equation. Instead of waiting for inspiration to strike to work on your book, you schedule 15 minutes every morning to write no matter how you feel. Instead of only going to the gym when you feel motivated, You schedule 3 30-minute sessions into your week and treat them like non-negotiable appointments. For example, if you want to learn a new language, instead of waiting for that perfect moment of linguistic enthusiasm, commit to spending just 10 minutes on a language learning app every day at the same time. If you want to eat healthier, establish a routine of preparing a healthy lunch the night before, so you're not relying on willpower when hunger strikes the next day. These small, consistent actions might not feel like they're making a huge difference in the short term, but over time they compound. They become part of your rhythm, your default mode. And that consistent forward movement is the very definition of momentum. It becomes easier to continue because it's simply what you do. And the third key to building unstoppable momentum is track your progress. We all know that feeling of working hard but not really seeing the results. It can be incredibly demotivating. That's why actively tracking your progress, no matter how small, is so crucial for building and maintaining momentum. When you can visually see how far you've come, it provides a powerful sense of accomplishment and reinforces the positive feedback loop we talked about earlier. It shows you that your consistent efforts are actually paying off, which fuels you to keep going. This could be as simple as checking off tasks on a to-do list, marking days on a calendar when you've completed your routine, or using an app to track your workouts or your writing progress. If you're learning a language, you might track the number of new words you've learned or the number of lessons you've completed. If you're working on a creative project, you could track the number of hours you've dedicated to it. Seeing that visual representation of your efforts provides tangible evidence of your momentum. It's no longer just a feeling, it's something you can see and touch. This can be incredibly motivating in itself, but more importantly, it reinforces the habits and routines you've established, making it easier to stay on track even when motivation dips. It's like looking back and seeing the distance the rolling ball has already covered. It encourages you to give it another push. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but what about motivation? Isn't that important at all? And the answer is, motivation can be a great initial spark. It can be the thing that gets you to take that very first small step. But as we've seen, it's unreliable. It comes and goes like the tide. Motivation is often tied to external factors: a powerful speech, an inspiring story, a sudden burst of enthusiasm. Momentum, on the other hand, is built from within through consistent action. It becomes self-sustaining. The feeling of progress becomes its own form of motivation, a much more powerful and consistent driver than fleeting inspiration. So, instead of waiting for that elusive feeling of motivation to strike, I urge you to focus on building momentum. Start small, establish consistent routines around those small actions, and actively track your progress. You might be surprised at how quickly those small steps compound into significant results. Alright, so now it's your turn. I want you to think about one goal you've been putting off, one thing you've been waiting to feel motivated to start. Instead of waiting any longer, I challenge you to identify just one tiny action you can take today. Right now even, that will move you just a little bit closer to that goal. Share that one small action in the comments below. Let's create a community of momentum builders. What's one tiny step you're going to take today to get your ball rolling? I'm excited to see what you come up with. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical strategies on achieving your goals. Remember, forget the pressure to be constantly motivated. Focus on building that unstoppable momentum, one small step at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Keep building!